Okay, hello, welcome in, everybody. Glad you're with us here today. It is a Wednesday with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. It is a little odd to get your days together on a holiday week, which, of course, Monday was a holiday.
Yep.
Doesn't feel like Wednesday, but the calendar says it is.
Yep, we have today's show. Normally our Tuesday show, we've already gotten cranked up. We're up to speed. But now what looks like our Tuesday show, or what feels like our Tuesday show, we're at the crest of the week. I mean, it's downhill after that. They got started early at the SEC spring meetings. We'll talk about that. For those people who don't know, the SEC spring meetings is when they give out the dividend checks to each one of the SEC members. And they all also play golf. They have a couple of meetings just because they call it SEC spring meetings. There's media there.
You know, it's interesting, Barry. I thought it was, the families come. They kind of make it a family affair.
Oh,
the coaches bring their families, the ADs, whatnot. But I was listening to our friend John Talty yesterday, who's now with CBSSports.com. And he had mentioned that he went to the Big Ten spring meetings, which happened to be out in Los Angeles. He was the only media member there. And I thought, really? Then why are we so eager to get in bed with the Big Ten? Doesn't seem like anybody cares about them. We ought to be doing this on ourselves. We being, of course, the Southeastern
Conference.
And I'm thinking, only one media member? You flew all the way out to L.A. to catch a glimpse of the Big Ten spring meetings, and the families weren't out there, and the media wasn't out there, and probably nobody in L.A. knew the Big Ten meetings were going on. And another question, you're a Florida native. Where is Miramar Beach? I've been down Highway 98 100 times between Fort Walton and Panama City. I don't think I've ever known there was a Miramar Beach. I know where Sandestin is.
Yeah.
I know where 30A is. I know where the Destin Bridge is. I don't know where Miramar Beach is.
It used to, number one, it's, I know where Miramar is, which is down like around Fort Lauderdale. Miramar Beach, this is what threw me. Miramar Beach is South Walton County. It's down there. It's all I can tell you.
They are basically saying Sandestin, where the Hilton is and all the golf courses, is in Miramar Beach. I never knew that.
Whenever I lived down there and, grew up there and all that kind of stuff, Destin wasn't anything. I mean, whenever I was going to college and I spent summers working as a bellman at Sandestin, lived in Fort Walton on Okaloosa Island and commuted. I mean, Destin was nothing. You had to drive through Destin to get to Sandestin and everything. And it was like, 2,000 people. Now, goodness gracious, it's huge. Miramar Beach is, it's one of those Florida towns that's kind of like made up, at the last little while. It's part of Destin, basically. It's like the far part of Destin over there near Sandestin, but you ain't got, it ain't a real town, if you ask me. It's got a couple thousand people and, Miramar Beach. That's what always threw me, because there's a Miramar down by Fort Lauderdale, but it's not the same thing. And hey,
where Miramar,
because people will call
does it have a?
It is. I don't know, but it's like 4 miles. Let me look. Does Miramar Beach have a?
And Barry, we're showing our age, but I remember when the bridge from Okaloosa County to Destin was 2 lane.
Right. That's the way it always was.
Yeah, it was a 2-lane bridge. And Holiday Isle, there was nothing on it.
Nothing there. Nothing.
I mean, there were
there.
probably 10 to 20 houses on Holiday Isle. Now there's thousands with condos everywhere. They had not even dug the little channels for people to be able to pull their boat to their house on Holiday Isle. It was just a big block of sand out there.
To be honest, to be perfectly frank, I liked it better that way. I'm never going to be able to afford property in Destin or Miramar Beach or anything like that, but Destin is nuts now.
Yeah.
I can't.
I can tell you, it has been almost 20 years since I've been to Destin. I can remember the last time I went. Spent a lot of time down that area, but it just got too crazy. Traffic's horrible.
Right. Yes,
there's way too many people. Obviously, they built a new airport in that area, and a lot of people from up north are coming in. So I just spend time down in my little neck of the woods where I don't want anybody to know where I am. So I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want y'all being down there with me.
Terrence says the SEC should have their spring meetings in Gulf Shores. ACC spring meetings in Amelia Island is greater than the Big Ten spring meetings, which is true. One of the reasons why I think they have it at Miramar is because Kirby can, he can bicycle over if he wants to,
Sure.
All the dang coaches live there over, within easy driving distance.
As a matter of fact, I think the next governor of Alabama lives there too.
Wait a minute. How can you be the governor of Alabama and not live in Alabama? That's weird. But
it is kind of weird.
To John's point,
as a matter of fact, and he's going to join us next week, Barry. I tried to get him on
Tommy
this week after the
Tuberville.
big announcement. Coach Tuberville is going to be on with us next week.
We love our football. Fob James has been a governor, football star.
Yeah,
Tommy Tuberville, gonna give that a shot. I will say, since I'm, being brutally honest and probably rude to some people, I don't like Destin the way it is now. I don't like that area. I used to spend every summer, and I was actually enrolled in a high school in Port St. Joe High School, and I don't like it now anymore. My uncle and my cousin and my cousins live down there and all that. I don't like it. Since we're being frank, I never have been to an SEC spring meetings. I know Jim Fife used to go every year. I don't understand the reason why. What are you doing? You get a chance maybe to talk to somebody, and you got some good copy this week from Greg Byrne. I mean, I'm sorry, from Greg Sankey, and maybe from Greg Byrne too. But golly, can you imagine being a media member down there and they're having meetings and they're playing golf and they're having cookouts and all that? What do you really do? What do you really know?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these
waste
coaches
of time if you
get together and hash out, well, what are your thoughts about 9 conference games? What are your thoughts about a 16-team playoff? What are your thoughts about NIL and transfers? And that's what's kind of, we've heard this talk. I'm ready for some action. I know I get the sense Greg Sankey's ready for some action too. I know they're waiting for this House settlement, which we've been waiting for that forever. But it seems like there's a lot of hurry up and waiting. I think they, and there again, I don't think they're going to make any decisions until this House settlement comes through one way or the other in terms of a 9-game conference schedule. What are they going to do about non-conferencing? Barry, there's some stories today that possibly some of these rivalries that we're used to, Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Georgia, could go away. I know there's a lot of traditionalists out there. Do I want to see them go away? No, not really. But it wouldn't kill me if they did. I mean, there's a lot of great games out there.
You never. This is why every morning, 6:59, I'm sitting here charged. I'm thinking, I think I know where John's going to be going on this subject. Never am I right. I thought John would be, plant the flag in the sand and say, never get rid of Alabama, Tennessee. I stand on this hill and I will die for this cause, Alabama, Tennessee forever. And he's saying like, third Saturday in October,
I mean, if you're
Well,
pressing me on it, certainly I don't want to lose those great rivalries. But if it happens,
see, here's
in the way I said, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But last I checked, there's a long-standing rivalry that's in jeopardy, and if that does come to pass, that team's got to play somebody. Just saying.
Here's the fleshed out of the deal. Greg Sankey was asked yesterday by more than one media member covering the SEC meetings about the 8-game versus the 9-game conference schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, if we could, he says the league could make an effort to preserve certain games if it sticks with an 8-game football schedule. He says we have a variety of alternatives. An alternative we presented is to protect those in an 8-game schedule moving forward. Basically meaning that if it's a 9-game schedule, one of the main reasons to have a 9-game schedule is, of course, equity with the other conferences, but also 9-game schedule means you get to play more other teams. I think what I can't remember the one John was talking about, but I think it was like Kentucky, Texas A&M. You never see that, you know. I mean, you'd see that more often. So here's the value judgment there, and I'm not asking John, although he's part of the human race. I'm asking everybody: would you be willing to give up Alabama, Tennessee as a bargaining chip? Simply to get to a 9-game schedule, simply to get to a 16-team playoff. I mean, that's, at 16, would you rather get rid of the third Saturday in October to give yourself a better, not a hugely better, but a better chance to make a postseason?
Yes. And I'll tell you why, because if I'm understanding this correctly, with 9 conference games, you're going to face other SEC opponents on a more regular basis. So you'll see Tennessee come up, not every year, but pretty often. Would I rather substitute Kentucky for Tennessee? No. But to get a wider variety and the ability to play more teams more often. I think Saban said, if you stay 4 years, you're going to play everybody at least once. Okay, I can live with that. I can live with that variety. There again, I hate to sound like a new guy, liberal guy, let them all play. But, maybe it is time for a little change. I know the old diehard traditionalists, no, you got to keep the South's continuous oldest football rivalry going. There again, the Georgia people want it. Are they bending over backwards about playing Auburn every year? I don't hear them talking about it. Will Alabama fans kick and scream if they're not playing Tennessee every year?
Yes. Am I? Yes.
Do we have to play the Iron Bowl every year?
I knew that's what he was leading up to. There's been a lot
because there is a mathematical chance if we go to 16. Well, even already now, there's a chance that the Auburn and Alabama could play 3 times in one season. Do you really want that?
If that's what the public wants, there is evidently, according to several reporters, Pete Thamel, Heather Dinich, there is a disconnect between the league's athletics directors and the league's coaches. Florida AD Scott Strickland, Texas A&M AD Trev Alberts, they want automatic qualifiers, which would go along with the league adopting a 9-game league schedule. But Lane Kiffin says, I just want the 16 best teams. I don't care if the SEC has 4 teams that are, by gosh, going to get in. The 4th best SEC team, it don't matter what anybody else does. The 4th best SEC team is going to get in. Kiffin says, just give me the 16 best, wherever they're from. If they're from the SEC, does there have to be only 4? Could there be 6? Kirby Smart says he wants a model that'll include the most SEC teams possible. Give me 8.
If the SEC Bear gets 4 bids and the 4th team in is not that good.
Yeah.
I mean, I see what Kiffin's saying. I got to think there's a stipulation, though, and I guess their belief is we're going to have at least 4 SEC teams every year in the top 16.
No matter what.
No matter what.
No matter
but what
what.
happens
Now,
if you don't?
Well, we're spitballing here because I don't foresee a moment when the SEC's number 4 team is not going to be very good. But early on, and it's still got a little ways to go, everybody's waiting for the checks. Early on in the SEC spring meetings, I got to agree with LSU athletic director Scott Woodward, and excuse me for the language, but he says there's a lot of pissing and moaning going on. Nobody's happy. Right. Everybody's griping. He was saying that to Paul Feinbaum on the SEC network. It's just everybody's gathering data. Everybody's talking about it. The commissioner is, trying to tell everybody what's right, but the commissioner does not like anybody saying that he is lecturing other people on what's good for college football. And the other commissioners are saying what the SEC is doing, it's not good for college football. Where Sankey got a little bit ticked off about that, but it's good theater right now. And I'm with John. I thought that we are past time for somebody to do something with some substance somewhere, something we can look and say, by gosh, that's real leadership.
I know
I ain't seen it yet.
Talking season, but I'm ready for something to happen.
Hey,
Barry, I hate to say it, but I'm happy for him. CJ Duncan is still overseas, and he will not join us again today. He is actually flying home today, so he'll join us next week. But I also want to give a shout-out to Roll Tide Bama 18, who is tuning in live from Italy today. Roll Tide Bama 18.
Buongiorno.
Yes, tuning in from Italy today. Also, Barry, on my River Region Straw VIP text line.
Exclusive
I also get a
line.
text from another viewer who is checking us out from Sorrento this morning. This is a totally different person. And so we really appreciate that. A couple of our viewers, 2 different people in Italy today watching the program. We greatly appreciate that. John, I don't know if the Red Bar is still on 38, but I've been there several times, and it's a neat spot. Bill grew up in Gulf Breeze, which I'm very familiar with. It's near Navarre Beach, which I spent many a summer down in Navarre. That's an area. The 98 side of Navarre has really grown. The beach side has not as much. It's close to what it used to look like when I was growing up, but it's still a neat place. John Dick brings up that as well. He spent a lot of time there too.
I just kind of
great chats today.
I just lose track sometimes. I mean, I'm a native Floridian. I grew up all over the place, really, but one of the places I grew up the longest was in Brevard County, Florida, which has got Melbourne, but it's got Melbourne Beach. It's got India Atlantic, but it's got India Atlantic Beach. I spent summers in Port St. Joe, which has got Port St. Joe Beach. Is Navarre the same as Navarre Beach? Is Miramar the same as Miramar Beach?
I would think that
Panama City the same thing as Panama City Beach.
Barry, when I was going to Navarre as a child, there again, Navarre wasn't a city. It wasn't incorporated. It was just a spot on 98. Yeah. And the 98 side had like a gas station, a restaurant named Redbeard's, and that was about it. Maybe a Tom Thumb was there. And then you cross the bridge, which cost you $0.25 to cross the bridge. And there were no condos on Navarre Beach, which was nice, but there were a lot of houses in that area, and it was a beautiful spot. I drove through there a couple of years ago. The beach side still looks great. The unique thing about Navarre Beach, there's not a pass to the Gulf like you've got in Destin and in Pensacola. So there's not as much boat traffic. There's not as much all the other stuff, because something about a pass attracts a lot of people for some reason. And they do not have a pass in Navarre, which I hope they never do. It is a neat spot. Another place I don't want people to know about. So I better quit talking about it.
There's plenty of them down there, and we're fighting a losing battle. Yeah. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing. Plus, no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars.
On the basketball court, the soccer pitch, or even the golf course, your crew brings their best not just for the win, but for that post-game celebration. When victory tastes like Michelob Ultra, it's worth every drop of sweat. And if you don't win, you'll still get the beer. It's just on you. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. They're licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946. You know, I was thinking about some of these rivalry games that possibly could be put on hold a little while if we go to a 9-game conference schedule. But there again, the rotation will be there, so you'll face these teams again, maybe not on a yearly basis, but you'll face everybody on a more regular basis. When they went to 10 games in COVID, I guess they tried to protect as many of those as they could. I mean, I think Alabama did play Tennessee, Auburn did play Georgia, but I'm sure there were a few of those that they just couldn't make it work.
I would imagine so. It's funny that some people honestly believe that the only good thing that came out of COVID was a 10-game all-SEC schedule. Man, that was so great. Yeah, all right.
I hate to admit it, Barry, but it was kind of convenient going to a game and you had the whole row to yourself. That was kind of nice, too.
Yeah. Let's see. For instance, let's go back to the 2020 Alabama football schedule. At Missouri, Texas A&M, at Ole Miss, Georgia, at Tennessee, Mississippi State, then off week, home against Kentucky, home against Auburn, which was not the last game of the year, at LSU, and at Arkansas. And then they beat Florida in the SEC championship game where I think like 98 points were scored. They beat Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, and they beat Ohio State down in Miami. Now, there was all the rivals. Tennessee was there. Auburn was there. They had Georgia in there. That's 10 games. And by gosh, every one of them, just look at the scores, was a meat grinder,
Yeah.
Everybody's like, why can't we do that again? Auburn in 2020, Kentucky at home, at Georgia, Arkansas at home, at South Carolina, at Ole Miss, LSU at home. I don't know what happened the first 2 weeks of November of 2020. Anybody out there? Because Auburn had those weeks off too. Both Auburn and Alabama had back-to-back off weeks the first 2 weeks of November. Then Tennessee at home, at Alabama, Texas A&M, and at Mississippi State. And famously, Auburn lost to Northwestern in the Citrus Bowl. I'm being facetious.
Remember that.
Very few people remember that. Auburn that year lost 5 games, and they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they were 6-5 that year. And you look at it now, and you think, wow, 6-5? By gosh, I'd take that right now. 2019, Auburn was 9-4. John, that's the last decent year Auburn's had.
Man,
that was 2019.
Man,
that was the one where I think Bo Nix was a freshman. He threw the touchdown pass to Seth Williams to beat Oregon at Jerry World. Auburn started out the year 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
And they finished 4-4 to finish 9-4 overall. John, that's it. I mean,
and that was the last really good year for Auburn. And did Bo Nix transfer the next year? Was it after that year or the next year?
No. It was 2 years, whatever that was.
2 years. That's right. Because he got in a fight with the offensive coordinator on the sidelines, and then he was barking at one of his wide receivers and throwing it into the third row because he was running for his life on every other play. Yeah. Now it's coming back. Yeah, now I remember. Yeah, that's it.
There's the wet blanket there. Did so many wonderful things at Auburn. John remembers a trumped-up fight with a.
It wasn't really a fight. It was not. It was a verbal altercation. How about that?
Yeah.
It was a verbal altercation.
The main reason why I bring that up, it wasn't even really on my thing. I'm looking up, 2020, how they handled that, and you still had the rivalries and stuff. But it did jog me back to something I read from Coffee with Philip, from Philip Marshall, Tuesday Morning Musings, Links of Interest, and more.
I think I read that one.
And I know how sometimes they kind of run on in your head because you read one. And it begins with, if I may quote, Philip Marshall, auburnundercover.com, all copyrights pending.
Yep.
The mission to contend in all sports. And I quote.
Yep.
You have to give Texas credit. The Longhorns don't win championships in every sport, but they are frequent contenders in every sport. Having seen a post about that on X, Philip is on social.
No kidding, really? Wow.
I started thinking, which Auburn sports can you say the same about? Frequent contenders in which sports? Men's basketball is one. Men's golf is another.
Ooh, took a tough loss to the Cavaliers of UVA.
The Cavaliers in the semifinals.
Tough one.
Equestrian is another.
Wait a minute. Is that a sport or a club sport?
I'm just reading.
Okay. All right.
Baseball, for the most part, is another.
Wait a minute.
The women's tennis program is headed in that direction. I believe football will be too, though it hasn't really shown that on the field since 2019. I believe softball will get that under Chris and Kate Malveaux. Larry Vickers is just getting started in women's basketball. The goal, of course, is to have frequent contenders in every sport. These days, that means having the money to be frequent contenders in every sport. That is the challenge for most programs, but not for Texas, where cash floods from oil wells.
Well, we tried to tell you this years ago. Do you really want Texas in your league? And what makes them different from Texas A&M? I mean, A&M's got money. Why does Texas seem to be more successful with the entire sports program than A&M seems to be? What's the difference? If I'm Trev Alberts, I'm going, what? Why can Texas do it and you can't? But you know what I really would have liked to have read here? And I get it. The mission is to contend in all sports, but would have been nice to say, Joe Blow in softball, they're terrible. They're never going to be any good. Unless they get rid of that guy, they're going to be below 500 every year. I'm just picking a sport out. I mean, don't give me this touchy-feely, warm and fuzzy. Hey, everything's heading in the right direction.
This is what John doesn't want you to know. You ever see those things? This is what car dealers don't want you to know. You can change your own wiper blades or whatever, stuff like that. This is what John doesn't want you to know, because to me, this reads like a perfect Philip column, because he knows the Auburn fans are going, yeah, okay. Larry Vickers is just getting started in women's basketball. Yeah. And he knows that. The people who want some sunshine pumping, they get that with this, right?
Oh, no doubt.
But then again, you got the other guys, the John Longshores, the some of the Alabama fans, they're reading this and saying, what are the sports in which Auburn is a frequent contender? Men's golf is another. All the Bama fans are going, equestrian is another. Yeah, equestrian. Whoo, yeah, you go, Philip. The women's tennis program is heading in that direction. You know as well as I do, Bama fans are reading that and eating that with a spoon. Yeah, you go, Philip. You go. Yeah, good job, Aubs, with the equestrian and the women's tennis.
And
they love that stuff. And John's like, oh, I would like to have seen them.
Articles like this usually get you in good graces. The writer and the coaches. Hey, this guy wrote something nice about me. I'm going to certainly let him interview me, and I'm going to give him the scoop whenever there is one. And
John Cohen says, hey, Philip, I like what you said about our women's tennis program. I don't think enough people pay attention to that.
That's right. You know what? We're going to give you a VIP credential from now on, and we're gonna do something about that press box at the Jane B. Moore softball field. We're going to do that for you. We really appreciate all these nice things you've been saying. And don't say anything bad. I don't know, Larry. What is this guy's name? Larry Vickers.
Larry Vickers.
High school with a guy named Larry Vickers. Can't be the same guy. I don't know who Larry Vickers is, but it would have been nice if you would have said something about the former women's coach who got run and why she did get run and what the problem was. That's what I really would have liked.
Didn't win enough games. Well,
touchy-feely stuff. I get it. See, that's what I've been attracted to it for so long. I know what I'm getting with my $9.95 every month.
But you love it though. Don't act like it. He absolutely loves it.
There's no doubt.
Equestrian is another, and all those Alabama fans are laughing. Look at the Aubs with their equestrian, but they're just visualizing John Cohen, passing by. I don't know, maybe Phillips at Byron Smokehouse or something, and Cohen steps in there. And hey, Philip, I saw what I appreciate you mentioning something about our women's tennis program. And like John says, hey, Philip, I want to do something about those low desks at the Jane B. Moore softball complex. Yep. And Philip stands up, shakes his hand, and John notices that little rip at the top of Philip's right knee on his pants. Hey, and all those pants that you ripped sliding in under the go ahead and send me the bill for the tailors. You get that taken care of on Auburn. There you go. We can show our appreciation.
Help you out there. Else. You better believe it. Good stuff. Speaking of Byron Smokehouse, Barry, that's where Senator Tuberville made his announcement yesterday. That's the same place he made his announcement when he was running for Senate. He made the announcement about his running for governor, which was a year and a half away.
Yeah.
Of course, he will finish out what he can of his term in the Senate if he does get elected, but that's 18 months away. But anyway, interesting. Somebody just said on the chat line that the coach was on Fox today. No way. They did. I will say this. I do like Will Cain. He used to be on ESPN. He's now on Fox News.
Yeah,
I find him very good and knowledgeable. But he referred to Tuberville as Tuberville yesterday when he had him on his show so he could make his announcement. I'm thinking, man, this is a big moment in this guy's history in his political career, and you don't even know how to pronounce his name.
Hey, man, come on. People here in this state for years and years, they always spelled Tuberville. It's those same people who spelled Tuberville with two B's.
Yeah, what's up with that?
As they spelled Saban, S-A-B-E-N. By the way, John says, speaking of A&M, what's going on with Coach Dumbo Fisher?
He's on a podcast, I think.
Yeah. Jimbo Fisher has got the best relationship you can have with Texas A&M, John. Things are going great with Coach Fisher and Texas A&M. He ain't got to coach him, and he still gets paid something like $70 million from him for putting his
unbelievable
feet up, doing what he wants. Jimbo Fisher's doing okay with Texas A&M right now. He's a big fan of them at the moment.
I would say so. That mailbox money comes in once a month, so he just got to go to the end of the driveway and get that check out of the box. That'd be pretty good. Also, I think, am I missing something here? This is the second day in a row, and maybe I don't know if this is just being funny. Our man John Dent with the 6'7", 3A walk-on QB at Alabama from California wants our thoughts. We actually addressed this yesterday, John.
Yeah, we did.
Our man JJ in Atlanta asked us about it.
Yeah, he was coached by former Heisman Trophy winner, Carson Palmer out at Rancho Margarita, California. He's 6'7". He was good. I mean, he's like a 3-star.
But David Smith a 3-star and Gary Hollingsworth, weren't they 3-star? Jay Barker 3 stars. I don't know if they were 3 stars back then.
Yeah,
They had pretty good careers.
His name, I'm still looking. Yeah, John Gazzaniga. 6'7", 230, a preferred walk-on. That means that they're not inviting him, but I mean, they're not giving him a scholarship, but they're saying, hey, we want you to walk on, as opposed to some guy who just shows up and says, I want to try out for the team. I think he's going there, or at least announcing that he's got a preferred walk-on from Alabama to kind of juice up his recruitment.
Yeah.
And he may end up at like the coach at Fresno State may say, ooh, we got a kid out in Rancho Margarita that Alabama wants there. He must be pretty good. Let me go offer him a scholarship.
And in
it's
terms
a long
of
time between now and when you enroll.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Although he may spend the summer in Tuscaloosa as a and enroll like.
And speaking of walk-ons, I heard Kirby talking about this yesterday. The future of walk-ons could be in jeopardy.
No doubt.
And he is certainly opposed to that. There's a need there. Located you got to have people running the scout team. There's no doubt about that. And I would hate to see that disappear.
I would too. It's against everything having to do with college athletics. Hey, I'm a student at my university. I'd like to try out for the team. I think I'd enjoy it. No, you can't. You can't do it. You can do anything in this world, but you can't try out for this team.
Barry, that's tilting more toward a business model. If you work for a company and you're not productive and you're just kind of hanging around and, you might go over there and move some stuff around on the shelves from time to time. I mean, you never do anything that's really prime time, so to speak, like game type action. It's getting more like a business out there. And who wanted college athletics to be run like a business? Where is that guy?
Who insisted that college football already was a business? Yeah. We're losing the heart and soul of college athletics.
When we come back, Barry, I got a bone to pick. I'm hearing some stuff over the last couple of days from Miramar Beach about a team that did not make the 12-team playoff last year. And the commissioner and the athletic director and the head coach is still chirping about it. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on it when we get back.
Yep. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range 400 yards in diameter. Capitol Hill offers a fully stocked pro shop with the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill for tee times and more information.
The Bush Guide, cold and smooth survival skills. For a successful stint in the great outdoors, pack accordingly. Place heavy essentials near your spine for stability in rough terrain, with light items near the bottom. Now, you may be wondering, where does the Bush Light go? In your stomach. Bush. Head for the mountains. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2023, Anheuser-Busch, Bush Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs. Okay, about 20 minutes to the top of the hour. As I mentioned, CJ Duncan going to join us next week, traveling today. Also want to give a shout out to our good friends at Yellowhammer News. Broke the story about Senator Tuberville throwing his hat into the gubernatorial race here in the state of Alabama. You can always get the latest breaking news, politics, lifestyle, sports at yellowhammernews.com. Check us out there. There's a write-up about the show each and every day there. Yellowhammernews.com. We're also available on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, Spotify. So many ways to check us out. We really appreciate folks hitting that like button. That subscribe button really, really helps get the word out and the information to you.
It's like you had, I had really gotten into, I guess it was over a 2-week period, their series on the 50 most influential politicians in the state of Alabama. And I'm looking, and I've interviewed, I think, 3 of them at some point or another. I've heard of about 20 of them. There's about 30 of those people. I'm thinking, and I mean, they're like in the top 20. And I'm thinking, I never heard of this guy before in my life, and and everything. I kind of got into that. You know, I'm a little bit of a political guy, but I don't get into the partisan stuff. Yeah. And I'm thinking, and I know how it works. A lot of those people, a lot of those lobbyists, they don't want to be famous.
No, they don't.
They don't want people to know, hey, this guy behind the scenes or this lady behind the scenes is a real mover and a shaker and all this kind of stuff. But I kind of got into it at the beginning because CJ Duncan was on that list. No. CJ was on one of the most influential, most young influential people or something like that. But I really enjoyed that. They had a little write-up on every one of those. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in any of that stuff, I mean, like John says, they break news really well, but they've also got some good writers there. The writing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you better believe it. It's very, very good. Highly recommend you check it out.
Yeah.
Bookmark it, yellowhammernews.com. Well, I think Tobias knows where I'm going here, Barry.
All right.
Tobias and everybody else out there, look, I know the commissioner of the SEC has got to prop up his teams and lobby for them and all that kind of stuff. And, the athletic director and the head coach and blah, blah, blah. And maybe SMU and Boise didn't play anybody, a bunch of 6-6 schedules, whatever. And, should winning trump just who you played? We could argue all day about that.
And
but bottom line, if you're a double-digit favorite of 2 touchdowns or more, which was the case when Alabama went to Nashville and when they went to Norman.
2 times.
They were both double-digit favorites in those games, and they lost both of them. One of them, they only scored 3 points. The other one, they gave up 40 or somewhere in that area. I think it was 40.
Yeah, it was 40. Yeah. I think it was 40-35, something like that.
Right there, Barry, you have no business being in the college football playoff. And I don't know a lot of Alabama fans that are kicking and screaming that, well, we should have made it. Okay, maybe we can split hairs and say, well, and I heard this. Well, we're better than SMU. Well, how do you know that?
That's the thing. I know if they're going to let whomever, if they're going to let Clemson in, or they're going to let, you name one, SMU in, well, by gosh, they should have let us in. No, you got to prove it. It's like Steve Martin once said, be so good that they can't ignore you. And in the past, that's what Alabama did. It just feels odd to hear Alabama fans griping on the outside looking in. Well, you should have let us in. I mean, there were times when those Saban teams left no doubt. I mean, they go up to Vanderbilt. They're beating Vandy by 5 touchdowns.
Sure.
They're playing Oklahoma, last year's Oklahoma team. Man, they're up 21 before Oklahoma can even get settled in, And to say, well, I know we lost those 2 games and we were double-digit favorites and everything, but, they lost games too. That doesn't seem very Alabama-like.
I'm with you. It doesn't. And there again, I don't know if we're living in an era where you got to lobby and you got to market and promote and shout it from the mountaintops that we ought to be in. There again, there's a lot of national writers that are there at this spring meeting, and they follow these guys everywhere except into the men's room, and probably follow them in there if I had to guess.
Well, the athletic director at Vanderbilt's a woman, so
and
they lead outside.
Yeah, probably she's thinking, man, glad I can at least get away from them for a minute. But I'd like one of these guys to say, hey, Greggy, Bama got beat by 2 teams they were double-digit favorites over. You still think they ought to go to the playoff? And you're hanging your hat on, well, they beat Georgia. Well, they beat them at home, and they actually had to hang on to beat them. They were lucky to beat them. I don't know if there's a little asterisk that says lucky. After a win, fortunate might be a better word to be used instead of luck.
That's what Greg Sankey would use. He'd use fortunate rather than lucky. Yeah.
But, I heard him say, well, 2 teams in our league that didn't make the playoff beat Georgia. So what? Okay.
So what? Yeah.
That's what they're hanging their head on. Well, they beat Georgia. They ought to be in the playoff. Yeah, but you conveniently forget Ole Miss got beat at home by Kentucky, who sucked. And Alabama lost on the road to 2 teams they were double-digit favorites over.
And all that's in the past. And we spend a good bit of time talking about the past. Goodness knows, Bucky Berry and Duffy Bowles and some of the names from the deep, dark past. Cam Newton.
Caruth.
Yeah. Cam Newton from way 15 years ago was brought up. We talk about the past a pretty good bit. But here's what I'm concerned about, along with what John's saying. Bama fans, it's probably going to happen again this year. It doesn't feel to me to be a 13-0 team heading into the college football playoff. Feels like there might be a couple of losses from this team. I've seen several more teams that strike me as much more talented Alabama teams in the recent past. So
I'll say this, Barry,
when that happens, I don't want to hear this again for a second straight year.
Well, here's the deal. I think there's a lot of pressure on this team to make the playoff. There's a lot of buzz that, they're feeling pretty good about this team. A lot deeper, more on the same page, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I think this team can make the playoff at 9-3, but they can't lose 2 of those games to teams that they're double-digit favorites.
See, over. That's a fair point. I'm thinking 9-3, but 9-3 with losses at home to Vanderbilt and at Auburn. I don't know.
They can, there again, as I said last Friday, I think Alabama's worst loss from the fan standpoint, I believe, might not be too bad of a loss, will be at South Carolina, which will be the last of a 5-game stretch. It's immediately after the Tennessee game. That heralded 3rd Saturday in October. I don't know if you heard
John
about
says,
that
well, I can take it or leave it.
And South Carolina, I believe, finished 9-3 last year. There was some talk about why didn't they get in. Got a really good quarterback. If Bama loses that by a field goal and they lose in Athens by, 6 points and maybe Auburn beats them on a late field goal, I still think they can make the playoff. Now, obviously, it depends on what some other teams in this league end up doing. Yeah. You got to factor that in, too. But they're not losing to Auburn because I said that's going to be Auburn's toughest loss. Losing to Alabama, there's going to be so much on the line for the Tigers. I could see them slipping in there possibly as a 10-win team at that point, maybe 9. got a lot of high hopes, feeling good about themselves, and a late, kind of pull the rug out from under you kind of win for the Tide. We've seen that happen before at Jordan Hare.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one for them to swallow after a kind of a turnaround season and a lot of high expectations. And Phillip writing some columns that are off the charts before that game, and then it's just going to kind of be gone.
David Housel, I still got to pull out that clip and get the old, we're coming to get y'all house by house.
Y'all give us a little time together. Go get yourself a beer.
I know you won't do it. You never do. It was great. Let's take a break. When we come back, more. We've got to catch up still later on in the next hour. The Phantom's Daily Dog. We got some other things to catch up from SEC spring meetings.
Hey, Dennis has chimed in today. Hey, thanks, Dennis. We'll get to you too.
Appreciate that. John Dent mentions that I went to school at Auburn and at Florida. That's always an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, sure.
We appreciate you being here. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Marianne is with us at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Gosh, there's a lot of things going on at Marguerite's right now. Marianne, give us an example or two.
Sure. Okay. Well, it's crazy. Tons of things are going on. We've got graduations coming up, lots of different anniversaries. We've had tons of upgrades or people getting engaged. Of course, Marguerite's has an amazing selection of diamonds, loose and mounted. We've had some people wanting to come in and needing to get engaged on the spot almost. And guess what? We have an in-stock jeweler, so we can make that happen for them.
How has Earring Fest gone? I can imagine that it has been spectacular, Marianne.
Yes, Earring Fest is great. We have tons of selections, more than honestly we've ever had before. Dangles, hoops, studs, you name it, we've got it.
What about for the graduate? A lot of, like you mentioned, a lot of people are graduating or are about to graduate. What's the go-to? What's been the most popular graduation gift?
Well, go-tos, of course, I'm thinking maybe the baby cross. It's beautiful. It's small. I have it. And a lot of people get turned off. They're like, baby, no, this is like for a graduate. But it's just a smaller cross, delicate, something you can have forever, as well as solitaires. Diamond by the yards are great because it's a wonderful layering piece, something that they could wear through sorority recruitment if they're going to do that. And we also have lots of strands of pearls, a classic gift that they can wear in graduation or any of the senior pictures. And watches and cufflinks for guys. We have those in stock, and they're wonderful pieces instead of just, giving them a Dillard's or Visa gift card. Makes it special.
One more question I've got about it. What about those people who at this time of the year, they really like to get into their jewelry boxes or look in the back of the drawers? It's time to do maybe some late spring cleaning. Right. Can they trade up some of those jewels?
Of course, yes. There's no reason for jewelry to collect dust, especially if Marguerite's is right around the corner or within driving distance. You just load it up. It doesn't matter if you're not sure if it's costume or not. Bring it in. We can test it for you. There's absolutely no charge to that. And then we'll give you an amount that we can write you a check for, or you get times and a half if you want to trade those items in and get something new, or we can always renovate those pieces and make a custom piece like we did for your sweet wife. Yeah. And so it would better be a piece that they could wear and always treasure.
You can always tell how much it means to Marianne to be able to help, because she helped with that piece for my wife 3 or 4 years ago, and she still takes pride in it. So does Marianne. Anytime she gets a chance to help. Marianne, you mentioned that it's very conveniently located, Pepper Tree Center next to Chappie's Deli on Vaughn Road, and the hours are convenient as well.
Definitely. We're open 7 days a week, 10 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Gosh, go by Marguerite's. No reason not to let them help you with the wonderful gift-giving opportunities everybody has in their life. Go to Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks.
Okay, a couple of minutes to the top of the hour on this Wednesday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Two-time Caller of the Year, JD. We ain't even gotten to Major League Baseball yet. Good call. Good move, JD. A little jab at the Braves. That's a good one.
All right. So, and we'll talk about this more in depth a little bit later in the next hour. Yeah, Spencer Strider is now 0-3.
Yeah,
for the Braves.
Thank you.
Wasn't really his fault.
Oh.
Strider and the rest of the staff that pitched yesterday at Philadelphia only gave up 5 hits.
Yeah.
But they gave up 2 runs. Now, the Phillies pitchers, Ranger Suarez, he only gave up 5 hits too. But the Braves didn't score off those 5. Atlanta loses to the Phillies who are now 16 games over 500, and the Braves are now 3 games under 500.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
So, maybe I'm go ahead.
Other stuff to kind of look out for. Again, the NBA playoffs, they are getting back to the nitty-gritty.
Great game last night.
The Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton had a triple-double, no turnovers. And the Pacers beat the Knicks 130-101. The Pacers are a game away from making it to the NBA Finals, and all the TV executives are going, no, not the Pacers, the Knicks. Come on.
Yeah. Well, so is OKC. They're 1 game away as well. More on that later today.
Indianapolis versus Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals is looking pretty solid now. The Thunder plays tonight against the Timberwolves, and Oklahoma City can wrap it up with a win tonight. They're up 3-1.
More on that later.
Also, coming up.
More in detail.
You don't want to miss this because your kids probably know all about it. July 10th, the release of EA Sports College Football 26, the video game. July 10th, your kids are going to be all over it. Heck, guys 40, 45, 50 years old are going to be all over it. The cover of EA Sports College Football 26. Last year was the first year they got back to college football. The cover are a couple of sophomores. Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State and Ryan Williams from Alabama. Did you know he's only 18 now?
I think he is 18 now.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Did you also know that, and this is just me guessing, did you also know that at 18 years old, Ryan Williams from Alabama, and this certainly helps being on the cover of EA Sports College Football 26. He ain't doing it for free.
No.
And Ryan Williams is a multi-millionaire.
How about that?
He probably makes more this year than his offensive coordinator, makes more than his wide receivers coach, makes more than any faculty, administrative, or staff member at the University of Alabama not associated with athletics.
Are we shocked? Are we really shocked about that? You mentioned a player from 15 years ago. He was making more money than most of the professors and assistant coaches over there at that time. Are people familiar with the tongue pop and the throat clear and the teeth suck here on this format like they were on the radio format?
This is, I got to think, if I was to put a number on it, and I'm probably on the low side because I'm no businessman, but I would have to imagine that since Ryan Williams enrolled at the University of Alabama, he has made somewhere in the neighborhood of $3.5 to $4 million.
Man.
You catch a Hail Mary last gasp touchdown pass against Georgia.
Yeah.
A lot of good things can happen for you, but that was even before then. I would imagine that he got paid significantly more to attend the University of Alabama than the allegations, not even payments, but the allegations of payments to Cam Newton, say, in 2010, just to use him for an example.
Yeah, for an example. Yeah, sure.
I bet Ryan Williams might have $180,000 in his change in his couch right now at his palatial home in Tuscaloosa. I don't know. So
that's a lot of fingernail polish.
That surely is.
Yeah.
So that's coming out July 10th, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to buy it because Ryan Williams is on the cover of it. Hey, an Alabama player. No.
My middle child, who just finished his freshman year at the Capstone, was walking back from class, which I was glad to hear. They say the nut doesn't fall far from the tree, but this one obviously did, since he was walking back from class and ran into Ryan Williams. And I think that they had seen one another from time
to time. Going
to
class?
Yeah. And walking across the quad or something. And I think, back in the day, football players liked to come to the fraternity houses when the party was going on. And, of course, we always welcome the football players with open arm.
Biscuit, buddy, look, come on in, man.
Yeah, made a lot of stops over at the house.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan might have made a stop or two at my son's fraternity house. Anyway, they were walking across the quad, and he stopped him and explained to him about a young friend of his that was ill and not doing well and needed a little cheering up. And would he mind recording a little video for him that he could send to him? And Ryan said, I'd be more than happy to do that. And, about a 30, 45-second little video clip, he sat there, did it, sent it to the young man. And I thought, that's a good kid right there.
I hear he's a very good kid. I hear he's just a good guy. Some of them that and see and hear about, not Alabama, but they are not. And I can speak from experience about some of those. But good for him. I have heard that as well from Ryan Williams. For an 18-year-old kid who's worth millions, he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders.
I like that. Anyway. Got a good head on your shoulders. That's a good term. I got to get back on this rivalry thing.
John says, if it means a better chance for more SEC teams in a college football playoff, to heck with Tennessee, Alabama. Who needs it? I'm thinking that's quite a trade-off.
Yeah, I can't say I'm opposed to it. I'm open to it. Let me put that way. But here's a couple of things that I think are of concern that I think they're going to have to factor in. Number one, and everything seems to be falling back to this, I would imagine ESPN, ABC, Disney, who's putting all this money into the SEC, is going to want Alabama to play Tennessee. And they're going to want Alabama to play LSU. And they're going to want Auburn to play Georgia. I don't think they're going to want to be going, some years Alabama's going to be playing Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. And that ain't who we want.
Them and Vanderbilt are John's favorite whipping boys. Yeah. To that, I say two things. Number one, if you're going to have a true round robin, you can't do that. This is John's flaw in his logic about a college football playoff and non-conference scheduling. You can't be expected to sign a deal where you play with Notre Dame every year.
Oh, why not?
They gotta play some. There's talk, because of the same thing we're talking about the SEC, that Notre Dame Southern Cal is going to have to go away. Well, they just can't do that. You can't have it every time.
You did pick up what I was saying. You did pick that up.
If Alabama was polled about it, and they had a chance to trade off Tennessee, just in terms of wins and losses, just in terms of buffing up their resume to go to a college football playoff, they'd probably rather have a Kentucky or a Vanderbilt or a Mississippi State or an Arkansas rather than Tennessee every year.
Well, I would probably think there are a lot of smart, savvy athletic directors out there.
Yep.
And just from a personal standpoint, I certainly have seen that Greg Gurn is savvy and a smart businessman.
Very
but
smart.
There are others out there that are too, and just as good, maybe better. But if I was an athletic director and I heard of any inkling that the Southern Cal Notre Dame series was in jeopardy, I'd be liable to call up to South Bend and go, hey, just saying, if something happens between your rivalry with the Trojans and it disappears and you're looking for a long-standing home and away series, we're available. We're your team. We'd love to have you on our schedule every year.
And Notre Dame is saying, all right. Thank you very much for your interest, Mr. Connors. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cohen. Cohen? Yeah. Thank you very much for your interest.
Well, I wasn't going to go there. I was thinking that. And how do I put this? I'm just not sure that would be on Notre Dame's top 5 list. I think they're looking for something with as much marquee value as that Southern Cal rivalry, and it's been going on since the beginning of time. And you look at Notre Dame's schedule, yeah, I know they got A&M and Arkansas this year in the SEC, and they're playing 5 ACC teams. 4 of them are terrible. Maybe 3 of them are terrible. They're not playing Clemson every year in the ACC, but they're playing Stanford and Purdue and the Naval Academy and Army.
John ought to have a spittoon right off camera. Stanford and Northwestern.
Yeah.
So
Notre Dame's looking for some marquee games. The networks certainly are. So if Notre Dame and Southern Cal want to end that little rivalry, and didn't Lincoln Riley leave Oklahoma because he didn't want to play teams like this? And now
he did.
And now he's out there, and now he wants to get rid of the Southern Cal. I mean, the Notre Dame game. I'd be all over that.
Here's another thing. A couple of things they're talking about, and Kirby Smart is big on this. AL.com wrote something about it. You got to fix the transfer portal. There's no reason in the world to have 2 transfer portals. You need to have one portal in January, right after the year, 10 days. That's it. They're talking about that. That's what the coaches would prefer. They would. They do not want to have a portal in April.
Why not? I mean, why don't they do it that way? I love this. This is what we ought to do. Why not? I mean, I heard Kirby's explanation of this right after the season. It's before the spring. You get everything reorganized. You can go to spring practice at your new school, whatever. I don't get some of these decisions these people make.
Or are not making. Make the decision on that. Also, there is reports, not just from the SEC, but around about renewed heightened interest in a 16-team college football playoff. The model would be, if you go to 16, Greg Sankey called it the 5-11 model. The 5 highest ranked conference champions and 11 at large. You'd still have the SMUs and the Boise's in there if they're among the 5 highest ranked, along with the SEC, ACC, blah, blah, blah. But you'd have just 11 at large. No guarantees for this conference, no guarantees for that conference. If the SEC has 7 really good teams, the SEC could get 7 at-larges. Okay. If the SEC has 1, they could get 1 at-large. The Sun Belt could get 3. At the coaching level, the question, according to Sankey, is why wouldn't that be okay? Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
There's so many things out there that just seem like what John was talking about the transfer portal window. I don't know. I'm not involved in it every day. Neither is John. I mean, I'm around it a lot. John's around it a lot. And it just seems to us, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. What do we have to do? Do we have to, do I have to second it? Do we have to have a quorum? Do we have to follow Robert's Rules of Order? Yes. We vote yes. Why can't, maybe I'm naive, but why can't somebody make a decision?
I'm with you, Barry. I don't know why they're dragging their feet. There's so many aspects of what's going on in college athletics. I'm thinking, enough already. Let's get it done. What are we waiting on? People have asked, okay, if we go to 16, What does that do for the schedule? Do they start the regular season a week early? I know that's one idea, and I think that's going to happen. Also, the early rounds would be the same weekend as the Army-Navy game. That's always kind of stood on its own, had its own platform. It always will, but you might have playoff games the same Saturday as the Army-Navy game. I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, I'd like to have more than just one game. Certainly feature the Army-Navy game at noon and then have these playoff games in the afternoon and at night.
Well, Army was really good this a couple of years ago. What if Army's in the playoffs? They're not playing Navy. You know, there's a lot of those things out there, but I'm telling you, John's right. You got some smart people there. You got some people running departments that I guess if they were in the private sector, they'd probably be making twice as much money. But they're at a university setting, and they're still making a lot of money, but they got master's degrees and tons of experience. Can somebody just lead this thing? Can somebody say, all right, let's go. All right. You guys ready to vote on it? Well, no, I don't know. I got to talk. We can vote on it now if you'd like. Why not?
Sankey's throwing shots at the Big 12 and the ACC. Okay, great. But, enough of that. Let's do something. There's been a lot of talks in New Orleans and Dallas and New York. The talking's over. It's time to get it going.
It's been going
the talk
on
of this, and I like this idea because I think conference championship weekend has gotten kind of stale, almost irrelevant. If you don't even play in it or lose and still make the playoff, I think the idea of having your top two seeds play it off, the winner is the conference champion and gets the higher seed, obviously, in the college football playoff. The loser's still going to get in, but seeded lower. And then having a play-in game or two of them with your third and sixth and fourth and fifth place teams. And those are the other two that make the playoff. Those are your four playoff teams from the SEC. Now, I know there's a lot about how they're ranked and all this, that, and the other, but to me, I think that's a really good idea to really spice up championship weekend.
Yeah.
Where do you play all these games? I think the higher rated team, the higher seeded team could host that one of these championship games, these play-in games, if you will, and then, of course, have the championship game in Atlanta like you always have. I really like that idea. I've heard more about that as well. The Big Ten, I think, is a little interested in possibly doing something like that. To me, that is a TV windfall.
Bonanza.
To go from 1 to 3 games on that championship Saturday, I would really like to see that.
Well,
and John, you got a comment that's close to my heart. I'm greedy. I've admitted it. I want 9 conference games, but I want the big non-conference game to continue. You mentioned, Penn State and Clemson, Oregon, Alabama, whatever. Yeah, those are the type of games I think the fans really enjoy. They look forward to it. And I don't want to forget the fans, because that's one thing I've yet to hear down in Destin or Miramar Beach or wherever they are. What about the fans in all this? Ticket prices over $200, the travel, the expense, the seat licensing, the inconvenience if it's raining or it's hot or Big Boy won't sit down the whole game. And you could sit at home and watch it. Athletic directors.
Super high def, great replay, better view than what you've got on the upper right corner of the upper deck.
I'd like for Greg Sankey to address that. We've got to give our customer base the very best product we can, as many weekends in the fall as possible. And I don't want to hear it. I used to roll my eyes and say, you got to be kidding me. When I'd hear from the crowd, I don't care who they're playing. I'm just going to support my team. Yeah, right. Sure.
But here's the thing. Here's what John is not telling you. This is what he's fudging on. He wants 9-game conference schedule.
Yep.
So you got 3 other games you can play with.
Mm-hmm. Well, really, 2, because I want the big non-con.
No, hang on. See, that's the thing. You got 3 games you can play with. And if John had his way, you'd have 3 big boys in there.
Well, true.
Now, there'd only be about 10 schools that would be eligible for those 3 in John's mind. So you're playing a crusher of a league schedule in the toughest league in the country, even though they haven't won a championship the last 2 years. You're playing a crushing league schedule. John says, I want you to play this team non-conference. I want you to play that big boy for non-conference, and I want you to play that big boy for non-conference. And listen, if you're going 6-6 or 8-4 with this crusher of a schedule, I don't care. You're out of here. If you're going 6-6, we want this, and we want this, and we want all wins. And if you don't, we're going to find somebody who does, who can.
See,
there ain't nobody who can.
I'm going to look at it from a TV executive standpoint. We need as much quality product as we can get, and we're going to pay you handsomely to do it. Now, if you go 6-6, that's your problem. That's your fault. But we're going to pay you to play these type games, and hopefully that money that we're paying you is going to help you build your program up where you don't have to go 6-6 and miss the playoff. But we feel like, and we're confident that the teams that we really zero in on and have confidence in are going to be there standing at the end. I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to give them a little wiggle room. So if we go to non-conference games, and I want 1 quality non-conference. I'd love to have 2, but I'll take 1, and you can go play every directional alphabet school you want after that. If that's what floats your boat, and you got to have UT Chattanooga or Texas Baptist or whoever on your schedule, okay, go for it. If that's what you got to do. I'm willing to do that if they'll just give me 9 with 1 quality non-conference opponent. And I can tell you, Bama fan, you think this 2 non-conference stuff is going to last? No way. No way. Because if something happens the end of this week, they're going to be looking. Well, the Wisconsin series will be over. I'm not sure who they play next year along with Florida State. I think it's I'm
on it. I'll figure it out.
I'm not sure who they play next year besides Florida State, but those are over. And I hate it because I was pretty excited.
West Virginia and South Florida.
They can get rid of both of them. Who cares? They're direction schools. I mean, look, Saban ain't even there anymore. They don't need to play West Virginia. West Virginia.
Oh, they see there that is the lip flutter right there.
Where is that game? Is that at West Virginia?
They're in Morgantown in 2026, and they're in Tuscaloosa in 2027, where Alabama also goes to Ohio State.
That one they need to keep. West Virginia, Greggy, get on the phone today. Cancel it. Done.
Just take a
Don't
break.
need it.
He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn. And no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Captain, get on your feet, raise an ice-cold bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some bud.
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
All right, about 20 minutes past the hour on this Wednesday. Barry, we're going to have to get our production department to recut that Destin Connection seafood market commercial because it's no longer the Gulf of Mexico, as it states in that ad. I want to bet over the holiday weekend we were discussing the Gulf. We were down that way, and I said, well, on Google Maps, it says Gulf of America. This guy went, no way. I said, oh, it does. He goes, I bet you it does. And I went, how much? How much you want to bet?
There's meteorologists, local meteorologists, Weather Channel meteorologists. They're all throwing out here saying, look, we're just calling it the Gulf.
Yeah.
Because you're going to tick off people if you call it the Gulf of Mexico, and you're going to tick off people if you call it the Gulf of America. We're just going to call it the Gulf. Hey, we've got something going on, a low pressure area in the Gulf. So
I will say it did surprise me that on Google Maps it does say the Gulf of America.
It does surprise me too. Yes.
Tobias, I get it. If you can schedule Incarnate Word, you should be able to schedule your traditional non-conference rival. I'm with you. I mean, when I become an athletic director, Tobias, those type things are just not even going to be an issue. I'll have that worked out in no time.
I will point out that the number one pick in the NFL draft went to school at Incarnate Word.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Cam Ward, 2 years, I think 3 years at Incarnate Word, 1 year at Washington State, 1 year at the University of Miami. That is a true story.
There you have it.
Mal is talking through his hat here. He says, see if I can get his take. Sorry, John, missed the first hour or so. You might have talked about it. Just getting back from vacation. The Wi-Fi's on the blink. I know the Braves are making a big run, and we're 6 games back last week. With Acuna and Strider back, how many games back are the Braves right now? Mal. That's unbecoming of you.
Mal, what we're hearing is it's the pitcher's fault.
They're actually 9.5 back now.
Yeah. Now we're hearing it's the pitcher's fault. They can't get a pitcher to quit putting gopher balls over the plate, I guess.
JD was saying earlier that it's the hitters, that Alex Anthopoulos has got all these 230 hitters, and they didn't score any runs yesterday. I can tell you it was the hitters yesterday. The pitchers threw a 5-hitter, and Atlanta scores 0 yesterday. They're now 3 games under 500, and they lose 2-0 to the Phillies yesterday. Phillies are all that. They're having a really good year. They play at 5:45 this afternoon.
Again tonight. Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Philadelphia. So is it about time for our...
Yeah, well, speaking of losing, thank you, Atlanta. Because we had the Braves yesterday. Mal, I know that's going to blow you away at a pick'em at Philadelphia. We just kind of felt like the Braves pitching might find its way, but
they did. They only gave up 5 hits in the game, 2 runs. You ought to be able to win with 5 hits and 2 runs given up. They didn't.
Now Strider's 0-3 now.
0-3, 4.50 ERA.
So the Braves let me down yesterday. So we were 17-19. Now we're
17 of 19.
17 9. We're 17. No, that's not right. 17. I have to go look that back up. But anyway, I believe 17 out of 22.
I think it was 17 out of 22.
Yeah. So we're at 17-22. We're 4 games. Now we're 5 games separation there. We were at 79 hurt us yesterday, but still doing well over the last month to 6 weeks. Tonight, Barry, we're going to go back to our tried and true.
What a good old association.
Yep, the NBA, 7:30 tonight on ESPN. Oklahoma City hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder are up 3-1 in this Western Conference final. Could Oklahoma City close out the series tonight? Sounding like Phillip. Sure they could. Certainly they can.
Only time will tell.
The question is, can they close it out by more than 8.5 points?
8.5.
8.5. Seems a little low for a game for Oklahoma City to be hosting compared to the previous games that they've hosted against the T-Wolves.
Yeah.
It is desperation time for Minnesota. I like this Minnesota team. I think they're really good. I'm not sure they can win tonight, but I think they've got enough pride to hang around and keep it under 8.5. We're going with the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight in Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals at Oklahoma City, 7:30 ESPN. Our pick, the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 8.5.
There we go. The Phantom's Daily Dog has been highly popular on this show. And I have come to understand that it's highly popular even when people don't really use the information and opinions provided. Because they are, as we have stated before, intended purely for entertainment purposes.
Sure.
Do with it what you want, but this is what the intention is just people are saying, I kind of like this, Phantom makes a good case and everything. It's pretty entertaining. So even when the Phantom, his Daily Dog doesn't come through, people still are like, I don't care. I love it.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. We really do. We're trying to make it entertaining. And there again, Barry, allegedly is for entertainment purposes only. How you entertain yourself with it is up to you. We do not condone any type of illegal gaming activity. So speaking of gaming and handicapping, these came out last week. And I wanted to get your initial thoughts about it without really having to think long and hard and research and study or whatever. But some point spreads have come out for some big college football games for week 1.
Tomorrow, we're going to start seeing some television times announced and networks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we mentioned that Thursday's the day from the SEC spring meetings and elsewhere. But some lines are out.
Yes, they are. They're called futures. I think they have them in the stock market too. You can buy futures, like pork bellies and frozen concentrated orange juice. And,
sounds like y'all a couple of bookies.
Yeah, you got to have a Clarence Beeks type.
Yeah.
The first game is on a Friday night in Waco, Texas, where the Auburn Tigers will be traveling to face the Baylor Bears. Now, we all know, we don't have to harp on the fact that Auburn was, 5-7 last year, missed a bowl game.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure what Baylor's record was last year. I know their uniforms are horrible. I've never liked Baylor's uniforms.
They were not very good last year. Dave Aranda is on the hot seat. Yes.
Auburn is a 2.5-point road favorite at this point. If you want to
bet
this
it opened
today,
at 1.5. Now they're at 2.5.
How about that? Some money on Auburn on the road at Waco. Okay, I can handle that.
Yeah.
Initially, I'm liking that a little bit.
All right.
The next game is is Saturday, the next day. This is a 2:30 kickoff, I believe.
Right.
This game will be Alabama at Florida State. Alabama, of course, finished 9-4 last year. I believe Florida State was 2-10.
Yes, they were terrible.
But they've made some changes in Tallahassee, notably at their offensive coordinator.
And people are saying, oh, Gus Malzahn, he's got the secret recipe for beating Alabama and da-da-da and everything. My early thought is, and I've never been a Florida State fan at all in my whole life, but this is just don't buy into that. Florida State was so bad last year. Alabama wasn't super terrific, but they were pretty doggone good. Don't fall into this. Oh, I bet Florida State comes in there and beats them. No. What's the line? The line's got to be double figures,
12
right?
and a half. Alabama's a 12 and a half point favorite in that game.
For a reason.
Barry, Alabama was a double-digit road favorite a couple of times last year. Just saying.
They were. That is true.
So they don't need to go down that road again. They need to take care of business on the road as a double-digit favorite. We'll see. I think it's a really, really, really important game for Kalen DeBoer and this staff. You lose that opener, Monday won't be able to get here quick enough.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that night, Barry, in Death Valley, Clemson, South Carolina, not Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Clemson is hosting LSU. A lot of talk about the Bengal Tigers this year.
They're going to be good.
Could be a good year for them. We'll see. We've heard this hype before. We'll know early. They are a 2.5-point underdog at Clemson. Clemson, a lot of people think could be in the national championship game. I am one of them. I really like this Clemson team, Barry. I think Clemson LSU is going to be featuring two of the game's best quarterbacks for 2025. That's going to be a good game. LSU, a 2.5-point underdog as of today.
I like those. Now, those will change. But it's interesting to see at least this is not etched in stone. This is not based on, who their first 22 are going to be or anything. This is basically here in May based upon brand or hearsay or image or cachet or panache. So this is kind of what they think of these teams more than solid lines.
And you're right, things can fluctuate between now and kickoff. We got in a very nice discussion years ago on the radio side about this. We had a caller that couldn't figure out, that the line might change, but be that as it may, it could. Injuries, girlfriend breaking up with the quarterback, whatever it may be. Now, Bob from Pike Road. Bob, good to hear from you, my man. Thanks for getting in on the River Region Straw chat line. Bob says there's a better chance of George Washington coming back from the dead to win the 28th presidential election than Florida State beating Bama in week 1. Now, all I'm saying is, Gus Malzahn has given Alabama fits over the years. Now he's solely concentrating on running the offense, doesn't have to deal with all Alabama's defense to give their defense headaches. Those in a few. You got to know Gus is going to throw some wrinkles out there. Wasn't Gus the OC for Chiswick when they ran the Statue of Liberty play or the Fumble-Rooski or some weird play in the Iron Bowl one year?
That's not real football and shouldn't have counted, and they ought to be embarrassed for trying to do something like that. Come on.
So Bob, that's coming. Malzahn's going to come up with some razzle-dazzle play and probably come out in the Nick Marshall. What was that deal they'd run? He didn't know if he was running or passing. There'd be linemen downfield. The refs never threw the flag, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, always. It was shady. The whole thing was just absolutely embarrassing for them to even.
Yeah, that's coming, Bob. That. Yeah, somebody better get in DeBoer's ear and say, look, you better get ready. This Gus is sneaky.
Yeah. Now, Bob also says, Bob from Pike Road tried to tell y'all The SEC would break off and form their own league. Sankey let the cat out of the bag yesterday.
Did he?
Now, he did not. I think Bob got caught up in a little trolling out there. Somebody named Carson K who said that it would happen. I don't know who Carson K is, but what Greg Sankey did say about the NCAA governance, he said, quote, the SEC has asked for more autonomy for the 4 conferences. You know, that they want more say. And again, like I said in the past, the SEC member schools would be in at all the NCAA meetings and they'd vote for something. Alabama would vote for something, but Slippery Rock would vote against it, and so it canceled them out. He says the SEC has asked for more autonomy for the 4 conferences. I don't have the authority to just depart the NCAA. I've shared with the decision-making working group that I have people in my room, and they're asking, why are we still in the NCAA? So I guess if that's what you're saying, Bobby has hinted about that, but there were reports yesterday saying that they're going to break away by 28-29. No, that's trolling. Somebody's having a little fun with the internet.
I think that's the extreme. If things don't go the way that Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti of the Big Ten want it to go, I think the extreme is for them to break off into their own deal.
But
the Big Ten, the SEC, and Notre Dame, and maybe a handful of others, probably the Clemsons of the world and whatnot, will join and do their own thing. But to me, that is the extreme.
Yeah, that's just leverage right now. And it's not even really good leverage because the NCAA does handle a lot of stuff that the SEC and the Big Ten don't have to deal with. So there are great advantages for playing, for participating in NCAA sanctioned activities. It's 24 before the hour. When we come back, the often imitated, never duplicated Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel is coming up with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382. Or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of Ultra Dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information. Okay, about 22 minutes to the top of the hour. Glad you're with us here today on Longshore and McKnight, watching or listening at your convenience on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. Of course, a lot of good clips on Instagram and X. And, of course, you can check it out at yellowhammernews.com. Really appreciate all of our good friends there at Yellowhammer.
this is the mood right now among my friends. Like John says, I don't know any of my friends that are like huge Braves fans. I got like 50 of them for me. This is the tune. This is the tone right now. And I consider this guy a friend of mine. John Colquitt, John from Wetumpka, Mr. Positivity, Mr. Silver Lining. Good morning. Braves are sinking.
Haven't we known that for quite some time?
Oh, no, we have not.
Whether it's those years we hear these so-called Braves fans beating their chest about, hey, we won over 100 games again, wow, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, first round of the playoffs, they're out. Now, here we're not even to June yet, and the Braves are sinking. They're terrible. They stink. Now, I know what's going to happen. I've been here before. They'll go through a little slump, and then here come the Nationals and the Rockies and the Marlins, and they'll win 10 out of 12. They'll finally get over 500 and be 5 games out of first place, and they'll all be excited again. Here they come. Oh, yippee, da-na-na-na-na, all that stuff. Yeah, I've seen it before. So, John, don't worry. There'll be a turnaround, and everybody will be happy in Braves Nation for a while, and then you know what's coming.
They'll be winning and successful and all of that, but they won't win the World Series. Therefore, it's an abject, abominable failure, and I don't even know why they waste our time.
I don't know why people put themselves through it.
They should only be fine with championship teams. If you're a fan of the Pirates or the Twins or the Royals, why are you even doing that?
Well, I don't know if those fan bases are as delusional as Braves fans are. I mean, they're realistic. Hey, our team sucks. We might win a few, but hey, we'll go out to the ballpark, have a few beers, a few laughs, the whole deal. It'll be all good. I mean, if you're a Rockies fan, you could have seen Bo Nix throw out the first pitch the other night. I mean, hey, that's worth it. Yeah. So but Braves fans are just delusional. Oh, we're going to win it all this year. Yeah. Okay. Heard that before. Mm-hmm. I just don't know why they want to put themselves through it. I mean, Barry, so having so many highs and lows during a short time period, that can affect you psychologically. I mean, you might have to go sit on a couch if you don't watch out.
You might have to, it's better than just having nothing but lows, having some highs. They have had success. They have been known as one of the most successful teams. Now,
unlike Auburn
World
football
Series as much as I would like them to, no.
But unlike Auburn football fan who hasn't experienced a winning season since when? 2019?
2019.
Yeah. See, they've got basketball and equestrian and women's tennis and
this is what John knows. John's admitting it. He knows. Philip wrote that article, and John says, man, I want, there's too much sunshine pumping. And I said, you love it. The Bama fans and you are laughing and saying, Philip's pumping up equestrian. Look at Philip. He's talking about women's tennis. You folks love it. He can talk about women's tennis because that's all. Like men's golf. Yeah, big deal.
Ooh, UVA beat him yesterday. Ouch.
And here is a point. Yes, in the COVID season, Auburn in 2020, Auburn finished 6-5.
Ooh,
6-5. That counts. Yep. 2019 was their last good year. 2019, they were 9-4.
So, but my point being, Braves fans don't have equestrian and women's doubles tennis and golf and basketball. Who did, and that's a sore spot too, because there was a lot of talk about them winning the national title. I even thought they had the best
team.
And
they only played in the Final Four.
So, but those things you can fall back on. What do the Braves fall back on? Their minor league team? No, they don't even know who it is. Could care less. So it's all or nothing with Braves fans. There's nothing to ease the pain, the salve to put on the wound. If you're a Braves fan, it's all or nothing. That's it. Now, Daniel says the Braves pitching coach blew up in the dugout last night.
Like he was going to get fired or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
like it when the position coaches get. Has the Braves manager been thrown out of a game yet this year? Maybe that's what they need.
They need somebody to light a fire under him or something. I don't know.
You think managers go into it and look at their pitching coach or their batting coach and go, "Hey, I'm getting tossed today."
Oh yeah.
Sometime during the day, so get ready.
Yeah.
You're going to be managing the rest of the game after I get tossed.
Yeah. You got him. He's, he gets tossed. He goes back to the dugout. He doesn't even look up. He just hands over the lineup card and just keeps
Who was
walking.
the man?
He knew.
They got tossed and then went and put a disguise on and came
Oh,
back.
Bobby Valentine for the Mets. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty creative.
He had a mustache and sunglasses and a wig.
I mean, that's pretty creative. I got to give that guy credit. That's good.
All right. Topic wheel. Here we go.
Yeah, there it is, Chris. It is the Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Sponsored by our good friends at Victoryland, exit 22 off I-85 Shorter, Alabama. Open 24/7 where you can be a winner too. Spin it away,
I have figured
Gurn.
out to enlarge our screen so I can read some of the things. The black on green is tough.
Yeah,
Old Man.
Old Man River. Old Man.
Old Man. What could this mean?
Huh?
Okay. Gurn goes a little hockey on us.
Yep. Go back to the headline, Gurn. Go back to the top here. Let me see what we got. We got Oilers win game 4 to go up 3-1 on Star.
Yeah.
Okay. All
right.
Something about an old man.
Yeah, the Edmonton Oilers. Oh, it's Corey Perry. Yes. No relation to Steve.
No.
Heck, I don't think. But 6 goal to the postseason. He is now tied with Timo Salami, Mark Recchi, Ron Francis, and Jean Beliveau for the most goals in a single postseason by a player who started that playoff run at age 39 or older.
Man.
Yeah. I almost said Corey Pavin, but this is Corey Perry. The Oilers now up 3-1. I'm kind of rooting for the Oilers. My great friend Gary Gallant up in Canada, up in Amherstburg, he was down last week. We ate lunch and we were talking a little Canadian hockey. The Maple Leafs were in it, but they're out. The Oilers are the only Canadian team left in the conference finals, and it's been since 1993 since Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. So Corey Perry, who's now 40, was 39 when he's an old hockey player.
When we take over Canada, is it going to be one big state, or are they going to break it up into a bunch of different states? Canada's a big place. It is. You ever looked at a map of Canada? It is huge.
It's the second largest country in the world area-wise.
Yeah, I don't think
you get up there like in whatever they call the Northwest Territories now. It's a Native American word, and the Yukon and all that. I mean,
do we really want that? I think we just want the southern part of Canada. We don't want all of it. Is it all or nothing, though?
No, you take the whole thing. You
got to take it all. So
yeah.
how the people in Alaska going to feel about that? Because I think they take a lot of pride in being the largest state, bigger than Texas.
No, the United States ain't taking over Canada. I mean, give me a break. That ain't happening. Yeah, there you go, Gurn. Let's get back. Not
all right,
normal.
let's spin the wheel.
Yeah.
Let's spin it once again and see where it lands. Victoryland 777 topic wheel. Second in a week.
Second in a week. Angel Cabrera. What a story. A redemption story. Just out of the Argentinian prison.
What do you think those are like?
Cabrera at the Congressional Blue course wins his second, what do they call it, John?
Senior PGA Championship.
Oh, the Senior PGA. He won the Regents Tradition on Monday.
Which is a major.
Then 6 days later at Congressional, he won the Senior PGA.
They have back-to-back majors.
How about that in a week? Yeah. No, get back to that, Gurn, if you could. Pop that screen back up again, because this is interesting. Right at the bottom of the screen, this is why I'll keep going down one more paragraph down if you can scroll down here. Cabrera spent 20 months in an Argentine prison. I mean, he was released on parole in August a year and a half ago. That's a story. That's a by gosh story.
Was he practicing in prison? Did they let him hit some practice his game? Hit some shots over the wall?
Because, I mean, I've seen some of those prison movies, and they let those guys get out there in the yard,
yeah,
and they lift weights and stuff. How about Angel going over there hitting a few range balls?
I mean, the guard's betting on him. Hey, can you hit that tree, that telephone pole? How about that guard tower up there? See if you can peg that guy.
Yeah.
I got to think he was in there 20 months. I'm sure they probably let him work on his game a little bit. You know,
I mean, this ain't like Tommy John surgery, or it ain't like some of those college players that you see go on a Mormon mission. I mean, he's in the
Barry,
slammer,
do you remember a player on the tour? He was on the Champions Tour as well. I think it was John Dent. I know his last name was Dent.
John Dent's one of our.
There was a professional guy. I swear, I think his name was John Dent.
You got me.
Of course, Maxwell has a golf course. The golf course actually runs right by the prison. And maybe he went out there and Jim Dent. It was Jim Dent, not John Dent.
I thought Jim Dent was the guy we interviewed that one time who wrote The Missing Ring.
No, that was Donovan. Jim Donovan. No, Donovan.
Not Jim Donovan. Keith Donovan.
Keith Donovan.
I got the book back here.
Yeah, Keith Donovan. It is Keith. But Jim Dent, professional golfer, spent some time out at Maxwell. And the rumor was he would play a little golf while he was out there. There's a minimum security prison out there at Maxwell. Or there used to be. I guess they're still out there. But anyway, yeah, Jim Dent worked on his game. I think it was tax evasion, which got him in the minimum security prison. Angel had some, I think he treated some female friends in not a very pleasant way.
I don't know.
But anyways, wow, didn't affect his golf game very much.
All right.
Dent wrote the Junction Boys.
I don't
know what Dent you're talking about, but I know Jim.
I got it back here, but I can't look while we're on the air.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right.
So there you have it.
All right.
All right. Spin the wheel, Gurn. Let's see what else we've got left on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel, and it's going to be not normal.
Okay. Yeah. Shohei Ohtani. 20 homers. By the way, he had a bullpen session first pitch. No, that wasn't that game. It was a different game. Yeah. Ohtani, the Dodgers DH. He also, once he gets, everything right, he had a bullpen session. He can throw it 100 miles. But it's just, he's the best player in the world right now.
Big boy, too. He is a big baseball player.
He is not small. He's about 6'5", weighs about 230. Good athlete. He's stolen a bunch of bases in his career. Yeah. He's the best. He may be the best player of our generation. It's been
Now, we're not going to start hearing things like he's juiced up like we heard about former players that were hitting a lot of home runs, are we?
No, they test for that now. They didn't test for that before. Isn't it funny how that worked? Yeah.
Yeah. They interesting. The Major League Baseball is testing, but I don't believe college football or college athletics, for that matter, are testing. And we're gonna we'll see if you guys been smoking some weed. We're gonna have a little test today, and they don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
that seems to happen all the time. I guess they don't want to find out what they already know. They don't want to get it confirmed.
There are national cable sports opinion makers out there who cannot go in 25 seconds from Shohei Ohtani hitting his 20th home run to why don't they test for weed in college football anymore. People all over the country are thinking, dude, this Longshore guy, see what he just did there? Sooner there's going to, it was either going to be that or something about Shohei Ohtani and Cam Newton. Not everybody can do it. John,
I don't see any similarities except they're both tall.
Yeah.
Was Cam 230? What did Cam weigh?
Oh, Cam's about 250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I could say that Shohei and Cam, kind of similar structures, height and build. I could certainly say that.
Right.
But don't you find it interesting that people don't do drug tests anymore? That used to be a big thing. Used to scare you.
But let me look real quick. No, Shohei's dad is not named Cecil. His dad is not Cecil Ohtani. So we can keep that.
He's not a Reverend Ohtani.
He might be I don't know.
Anyway, does his father still get to come to the games?
We're going to be on this for a long time until do we have to have another break? Do we have one coming up real soon?
I
think we're clear, right? Let's go. Let's keep going.
Let's go ahead and spin it. Let's go for it. 2 more to go. Let's see what happens. Green and blue, Victoryland 777 topic wheel, and it's going to land on
Smart Fan. Okay.
Huh.
Cameras caught Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the NBA MVP who plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder, telling a fan who caught his pass that he was smart. He said, yeah, that was smart.
So wait a minute. They getting
really
on
has no impact because there's 0.1 second left to go.
Oh, it has
Get off
impact.
the shot with 0.1.
Well, if Minnesota inbounds, you throw it at the rim, and a tip can do it, but that's the only thing. You can't catch and shoot.
And there's
See, the
no
deal
goal
is
in
the
that
fan
moment.
catches
so you literally
it.
try and make it as somebody touches the ball.
Yeah,
He
the
looks
fan
like-
catches it right there.
See, there's more
It's
time
not-
on
Yes.
the clock there. And is he breaking the plane of that shot?
If the fan touched it, which means at that point it's a dead ball, if it had gone another 1/10 of a second and it would have hit the sideline or whatever, then that 1/10 of a second would have run off, and they wouldn't have they'd have much of a chance anyway. But that is pretty smart,
Well, but it wasn't smart by that announcer saying not much can happen in 1 point. Whoa. Let me tell you, a ton can happen.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? Don't give me this nothing can happen business.
I mean, a cover or a win. Yeah, one more.
Yeah. Yep. All right, one more. Got to spin it to make it official here on the Wednesday edition of Gurn Jr.'s Victoryland 777 topic wheel.
Not staggered.
Is that what it says? I couldn't read it backwards.
Yeah, not staggered.
Not staggered. Not staggered.
Yeah.
Wow. What do we got here?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I'm not sure exactly what the ramifications are, but the PGA Tour is reverting to a traditional stroke play format for the Tour Championship. You start at even par instead of the starting strokes model that had been used for about the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Fans indicated they prefer scores closer under par or deeper under par.
I like that move. I like that. I think it'll make the Tour Championship better.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm a fan. Chris,
So
no,
you
that
go.
is not Beth Mowens. That's Doris Burke, I believe.
So
That's
that's
the
some
NBA.
Chris is so great at just like 2 words. I mean, he sits there. I see Chris sitting there at his keyboard, and he's just typing. He must have 30 chats in here. And
Oh,
most
I love
of them
it.
are like 3 words. But
He gets to the point quick.
yeah,
2-time Call of the Year JD. Wait a minute. Auburn, Braves, and Saints fans? Ooh, yeah, that's tough.
yeah.
Oosh. Yeah, that's a tough
Yeah.
one. Saints going to be tough. Did I hear that the Saints were trying to acquire Aaron Rodgers, and he says, I'm not playing for any team in Louisiana? I wonder what he's got against Louisiana.
I don't know. I did see something with Terry Bradshaw where Bradshaw says he does not want to play he does not want Aaron Rodgers playing for the Steelers. And I saw something the other day. I don't know why. I guess this is like TMZ stuff. Where Danica Patrick, remember the race car driver?
Sure. Yeah,
She used
she's
to date
selling
Aaron Rodgers.
She's selling car repair plans.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
her. Yeah. Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers, a joke. This must have just missed the cut for the Gurn Jr. Victoryland topic wheel.
You can only have so many. Some do hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and Gurn, I mean, he's got standards.
Yeah, no
Despite
doubt.
what you may think about him working with John and Barry, he does have standards.
I wonder, Barry, is there a team Terry Bradshaw would not think would be a joke for Aaron Rodgers, or is he just saying he doesn't need to play anymore?
You know what? That's me. I'm thinking, God bless him. He's a great player. He's a Looney Tune, but he's a great player. Time to just walk on out into the sunset.
I think so. Yeah,
it's about that time.
You don't want to do
He
that.
plays for, I mean, he's distractive. He's in his own little world. Everything's got to be his way. Not a team player necessarily. Plus, he's 41 years old and brittle, and he ain't leading anybody to a Super Bowl.
No, we saw it with Namath. We saw it with Stabler. Johnny Unitas finished his career somewhere other than Baltimore.
Joe Montana.
Yeah, just don't want to do that.
Brett Favre, just go. Just
move on. All right, Barry, tomorrow.
Yes.
Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover. We'll talk with Jason. Auburn's got some big baseball coming up.
On the eve of the start of the Auburn Regional against fabled Central Connecticut State.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively by the Destin Connection Seafood Market. Fresh deliveries from the Gulf of America each and every day. 3750 Norman Bridge Road. So we'll have those two gentlemen we'll be talking with, and certainly your chats at our River Region Straw chat line, our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox. That's longshoremcknight@gmail.com. So looking forward to tomorrow. A lot of great conversation today on the chat line. We appreciate that.
We always do. We appreciate you. We appreciate Gurn Jr., our producer. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.